Welcome and thank you for listening to the Muses of the Crystal Lotus.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Muses of the Crystal Lotus. I am Shauna Neal. I'm the owner of the Crystal Lotus. This is Stephanie Lanham. She is owner of Rediscover Health and Grounded Teas.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember how you put that. Grounded Kitchen and Teas?
Earth's Kitchen.
Earth's Kitchen and Teas.
Earth's Kitchen. Because I wanted to open the door for future natural endeavors that may or may not be surrounded by tea. So, Earth's Kitchen and Teas.
Earth's Kitchen and Teas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Earth. Natural.
Today we're going to talk about something that's a little off our normal track.
No, it's not.
It is, but it isn't.
We are going to call attention to outside resources that will help people in addition to the things that we normally talk about on their own free time.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is an internet channel called Gaia. It's GaiaTV. And you'll see it as Gaia, G-A-I-A. And they have got a vast number of people who help them do videos on everything. From the universe to the outside spiritual realm to the inside spiritual realm, health, yoga, all of the gifts, meditations, and paranormal, aliens. They just have this entire thing, and some history stuff, which is absolutely incredible because I watch a lot of that. One of my favorite shows is Ancient Civilizations, and because I'm a minister, it talks about some of the religious beliefs of different ancient civilizations, and kind of helps walk you through the connections between where we are now and where they were then. And one of my favorite shows that's on there is Healing Matrix. Healing Matrix is all about self-healing and learning how to correct issues that you might have, not only in the body, the mind, the spirit, but also in your aura, the ethereal layer.
Now, the Healing Matrix, she's kind of like, I think I've watched one of those episodes. It's like talk show almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the speaker, and then you have the guest, and the guest
Right.
changes at every episode, and they talk about something different, right?
Yes.
Very similar to what we're doing.
One of your favorite speakers is on there.
Yes. Well, he's got his whole series is on Gaia.
Yeah.
As one of the documentary series resources that I follow a lot. I love watching Rewired. That's Joe Dispenza. We've talked about him on previous episodes, but he's also along the lines of the "you can heal yourself" up here kind of thing
with your mind, which is pretty intense sometimes when you think about it. Another one of my favorites is Open Minds with Regina Meredith, and she does a lot of interviews as well, and Joe Dispenza's been on her show, and she had one segment that was the delinear life, I think it was called, and it talks about how our minds work and the way that we have been programmed. We see ourselves as linear beings. We live a linear life. It's day to day. You're born, you do your living, and you die, and that's it. And this goes into the whole metaphysical end of it, that only the vessel dies, the spirit does not die, and how our energy is transferred to different places. So that's another one of my favorite shows. And then the one that I have been telling everybody to watch for the last 3 years, The Pyramid Code. It used to be on Netflix, but now it's on Gaia. And that is an amazing history lesson on the Egyptian people, the Egyptian religion, and reincarnation. But it also talks about before the I think it was 18th dynasty, how the Egyptian people had full use 360 senses, and we only have 5. So it talks about how they lived in a peaceful society that was more about art, music, inner discovery, rather than the patriarchal societies, which are about, they're about linear time. They're the ones that are about science and mathematics and all that kind of stuff. That's why a lot of schools now are not even teaching the arts. They're not teaching music the way they used to. It's very sad that they couldn't find a balance there.
Well, I think there should be a balance between the arts and the sciences, considering you can't have one without the other.
This is true. But, okay, you also have, the separation of church and state, because most governments do not want to be told what to do by the church, and the church doesn't want the government meddling in their business. And then, when you look at it like that, the patriarchal society that we live in, they don't want a bunch of women telling them what to do. They don't want to hear about the arts and the science. They want arts and music. They want to talk about science because of their disbelief in other stuff. But science and mathematics, if you think about it, both of them are the language of war.
I'm gonna go on a separate direction there, because I don't necessarily believe that they like to talk about science as a whole. I like to believe that they like to cherry pick science to fit a certain narrative that fits for them.
Occasionally, but like I said,
but it's not science as a whole, because science as a whole includes things like natural health remedies, the healing power of the earth, for example, cannabis and its wonderful healing powers. Now, we don't, considering it's illegal everywhere, minus a couple places here and there nowadays, we don't follow that science, because that science says this has the power to heal. This has the power to reduce tumors or to eliminate cancers from the body. But we don't follow that science.
No.
So again, there is a connection, obviously, between like the arts and the music and all of these things over here and science, but it's not all science that we want to focus on. It's the science that fits what they want it to fit.
Yes, but you're looking at it from the sacred feminine view, okay? They are looking at it from the patriarchal society view. Science and mathematics are the languages of war and conquest. Making bigger, better weapons, logical, mathematical strategies so they can win. I look at it that if more of the patriarchal society would just back up 2 steps and incorporate other things rather than trying to do away with these things, they might find that they wouldn't have to have so many wars. They wouldn't have to be so greedy or gotta conquer everything mentality. I just think a lot of the things that I have learned from the shows that I watch on Gaia are the changing, all of the things that change because of a mental programming. And that has more to do with being under control by somebody else than it does anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's about governments maintaining control so that there is not anarchy. Get that, understand that. I wouldn't want to live under martial law, so I basically follow the rules, you know. But they take away a person's free will when they limit how much you can do, how much you're going to make, how much you are allowed to speak about without condescension. And this channel is just open, outright, gives you more information than you could probably ever absorb in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's helpful, it's positive, it lets you think, look into yourself and think about who you are, where you want to go, how you're going to get there. What kind of an attitude are you going to need to have to get there? And sorry, I'm a firm believer that we create our own our own realities.
Well, yeah. I mean, we
And
do.
a lot of people don't understand that.
There's a lot of those episodes in Gaia that, you know, a lot of people and speakers that, you know, confirm almost.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their belief as well, is that we create our own reality. And the resources within Gaia kind of help give you that education and insight on how.
Yes.
How it works, you know, and like I've mentioned a dozen times on these podcasts, Joe Dispenza's work is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. And the series Rewired is one of those episodes or one of those series that each episode he builds on the previous in conceptual thinking of how we can make our own reality based on controlling our mind and meditation.
Controlling our thoughts, controlling our emotions.
And then understanding
words.
that, and this is a big one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not all thoughts are you, okay? This is a big one. And this is something that has completely it's taking me a long time to learn this. Because the moment you think that a thought pops into your head, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just thought that. That must be my thought. That must be I'm a terrible person. I must be this or must be that or this must be true, you know?
Mm-hmm.
No. Thoughts come and go all day long, randomly, here and there, and they're just fleeting things. But the moment that we can absolutely just realize that not all thoughts that pop into our brain are us.
True.
And I'm not talking like they're spirits or they're this or that. They're just simply just thoughts. That's all they are. They're just thoughts that could be influenced by anything: TV shows, computer programs, social media, you know, movies, whatever. But when they come in and then they leave, being able to separate yourself from that thought and know that, yeah, well, that was a pretty crazy thought, but I'm so glad that's not who I am, or that's not me. Those things can really impact a person's life, and those are the kind of things that we don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people out there that struggle with the anxiety of some of these just really random thoughts in their brain.
Especially when they're destructive thoughts.
Intrusive.
Intrusive.
Those are very anxious thoughts. And I'll give you an example of an intrusive thought, okay? There's a wild example. Oh, yeah, okay. Coronavirus.
Okay, coronavirus.
Scary, very scary thing. We have
Yes.
all of the reasons to be scared.
Yes.
Intrusive thoughts can include, oh my God, I don't know that I've been exposed to coronavirus and I've seen my grandmother. I'm going to kill my grandmother because I might have exposed her to coronavirus. That is an intrusive thought,
Or
guys.
she might have exposed you to it.
That's a very intrusive thought.
Yes, it is.
And then you sit there and you ruminate. And people with OCD are really bad about rumination.
Mm-hmm.
and needing some sort of confirmation, to help prevent the ruminating, but it's the OCD cycle. But and then sit there and ruminating on it, causes the anxiety to increase. And so now we put ourselves in a perpetual anxious state over a fleeting thought. I mean, it's a worry. It's a very realistic worry. Don't get me wrong. But to the extreme in which you take said thought, I'm going to kill grandma with the coronavirus on accident, and then sit and worry about it over and over again, is a long, vicious process that causes a lot of problems for people, more so than we talk about.
It's true.
Millions of people suffer from intrusive thoughts, and being able to recognize that not all the thoughts that come in your brain are true, or you, or and they vary from different things. You can only imagine how Stephen King comes up with some of his concepts for his books. You know what I mean? But like, he's obviously able to identify, like, wow, this is a really cool psycho thriller, instead of I'm really crazy. You know what I mean? So there's being able to differentiate between the two. And
you should see his house in Camden, Maine. He is crazy.
But one of the things that Rewired kind of helps you work through is being able to identify your thoughts, and to know when they're fleeting thoughts, and how to control your thoughts, and how to work yourself through meditation, and how to hit your energy points, the chakras, and the placebo effect. We've talked about that in previous episodes. I watched that one a couple different times because I'm just always so fascinated about the actual science, the scientific literature that is present in regards to the placebo effect, and how we can, people
heal
with
ourselves by ourselves.
Parkinson's, for example, there was he used this in the episode. Parkinson's disease.
It really is a lot of lemon in it.
There is a lot of lemon. There's only one lemon in it. We made juice this morning. Very, very beautiful, cleansing New Year's juice. Lemon
It's a tickle in my throat.
2 apples, 5 carrots, a bunch of kale, 3 celery stalks, and 1 lemon. It's a little much on the lemon.
Yeah.
Probably could have went like half a lemon, maybe even a quarter of a lemon.
Maybe. Go back to what you were talking about.
Okay. So people that are experiencing Parkinson's disease has a disruption in the way that their receptors respond to dopamine, or the production of dopamine. And they did this trial, this randomized controlled trial, where they gave somebody a something or another, a pill versus a placebo, and they said this is going to be something that helps with your your body's ability to recognize dopamine in your receptors. And so take this pill, and this is what's going to happen. Well, in the placebo group, the body, it was absolutely, like, it was nothing. It was a sugar pill. That's all it is. But the placebo group, because they believed that this was going to help their body, was able, what they saw in brain scans was that the receptors for dopamine changed, and was able to recognize dopamine better.
See, I learn as much as you do. You guys do.
It's absolutely fascinating. And so when you start seeing some of these things, and they talk about a lot of this random different stuff on Gaia like this, it's inspiring.
It is inspiring. Another one of my favorite shows on Gaia is Spirit Talk. And Jack Van Praagh is a psychic medium. And he not only demonstrates how he can talk to the spirits and bring information through for people, he also teaches people how to learn telepathy, or how to use that telepathy to talk to your animals. And I find his shows fascinating, because he'll be standing there and he'll just be going, I'm getting this, I'm getting this. okay, who's got a mother named Joanna? And somebody in the audience always puts their hand up, you know? And then he just goes through all these messages that he's getting for this person. And they basically know when he's talking to him, yes or no. Okay, to acknowledge that either he's right in what he's saying, or no, that might be somebody else. And I have watched these people. I mean, they'll sit there and they'll go, yes, that's right. And then all of a sudden the eyes get like dinner plates and the mouth drops open, and you can see it, you know, the big bubble over their head. How the heck did he know that? You know? And it's very specific information. But there are other shows on there, including that one, that help you if you're trying to develop your gifts, like use of the third eye, balancing your chakras, working with universal connections, so you can talk to your guides or talk to ancestors. But there are, I can't even count how many different shows they have on that channel. But I invite everybody to check it out at least once.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I remember last year, I want to think that Gaia and, what is it, Food People, I think, or something like that, merged. And so there was a lot more health and nutrition type documentaries available on Gaia, compared to what I think it's FMTV, Food Matters. Yeah, that's it, FMTV, Food Matters TV. And so there's a lot down that path, and I've watched a couple of the health shows and herb shows and how to forage for edibles in your yard.
I love the herbal shows and the crystal shows.
I guess they've got a whole library of stuff,
They've
you know.
got all kinds of stuff.
We watched one, or I guess I say David wasn't home when I watched it, but it was called Heal for Free. And it's a documentary on grounding and earthing, and the ability for grounding and being connected to the earth to heal your body. And the documentary took place in Alaska, and there was a couple different places throughout, like New York City and other places throughout. San Francisco, I think, was on there too. But pretty much the one of the main characters for the documentary was on his deathbed at a young age, because he was a Wall Street accountant or something, and he was complete burnout and never took care of himself. Like, he was anorexic, bone thin, like he was skin and bones, and he was dying. And he had this revelation whenever he was in bed at the hospital and they told him he had days to live. He said to himself, well, if I put myself here, if I had the ability to put myself here, I have the ability to get myself out of here. So one, that started off in your mind. That was a mind change. But then he started doing more natural practices, eating clean, no GMOs, organic foods, grounding, connection to the earth all the time. He walks around barefoot wherever he goes, you know. There's bed sheets with a cord that plugs into the grounding outlet in the wall. You know, you got the 3 prongs, the third prong down here is the grounding. And you can plug it into the grounding port, and you can get that grounding energy through the sheets.
Oh, nice.
He does Tai Chi now, you know, I mean, like, he does a lot of things. And so what he started to do after he got better is incorporate those types of grounding practices to people in his community. And once the people in his community started feeling better, they started believing. And so then, you know, you get this ripple effect from there. It starts with one, and then one helps another, which helps another, and then it grows.
Yes.
But after the documentary, like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go outside and be barefoot in my yard. And I took my shoes off and I walked outside and I stood beside a pile of snow, and you know what?
Yes,
It was
it's
cold.
January.
It was cold, but it felt so good. You know, just it still did, even though it was very, very cold. It's something about it felt good.
Anytime you can connect with earth energies, it feels good.
Yes.
It's just the most calming, rejuvenating, exhilarating feeling. Just to know that when you're in tune with the earth, you have a better understanding of her moods. You know, why she's blowing off volcanoes on the other side of the world, or you know, causing tsunamis or whatever. But just being grounded helps keep you focused, and that balances your aura, and it helps you to get that kundalini thing going on, and when you're working with your chakras, okay, and your chakras are working with you because you're grounded, you would be surprised what a different type of day you can have. I think it's amazing.
Yes.
You ground every morning and you have that peace to start the day. And you'll start noticing that your body's not hurting as much. You've got energy just flowing. Like that one day with you when you were buzzing. And if you have gifts or you're trying to get your gifts moving, you'll notice that the connection from the crown chakra is going to open up a whole world of things. Third eye. So, yeah, getting back in touch with the earth, not just spiritually and physically, but mentally as well, because, you know, everything we need is right here. It doesn't need to be synthesized. We have everything we need. All the medications we could ever possibly need are growing somewhere. And, you know, we don't need synthesized stuff. But it's also that mindset of when you're at peace, you help other people be at peace. Yes. That energy. And that spreads out. And when that spreads out, there's a lot less negativity roaming around to cause problems.
Well, you know, I've been thinking a lot about, and by the time this episode launches, I think we're January or February, but right now as we record, we're at New Year's. We're New Year's resolution making. New Year's goals making.
Huge goals.
Resolutions have such a negative connotation. I really hate that it does, because, you know, well, you know, there's nothing really, resolution means, like, to me, a resolution is like a fix. The word means to, like, fix, to mediate, to, you know, make better.
Means to be resolved.
Right.
To see through something.
Right.
Something
And
through.
you know, to be honest, the negative connotation in the word would just have us assuming that we have something to be fixed. And honestly, there's nothing really that people need to resolve. We are just fine as we are. But we always want to aim to be better.
Yes.
So New Year's goals for us is just the things that we set forth for us to get better, as opposed to resolving, you know, what we think may or may not be issues. I don't know where I was going with that because the alarms threw my brain off. But
I'm sorry, that's just letting us know that we have to wrap up our episode here.
What was I talking about? New Year's resolutions, New Year's goals. Oh, the word for 2021. That's where I was going. My word for 2021 in personal and in business adventure, I have dubbed to be reconnect. And that word goes for, I mean, it can be used for everything. You know, we want to reconnect to ourselves. We want to reconnect to our health. We want to reconnect to our bodies. We want to reconnect to our minds, reconnect to our souls and our spirit and our spiritual practice. We want to reconnect with each other. We want to help other people reconnect to the earth and to, you know, grounding and to all the other things. And so I have just made it my word of the year is reconnect.
Reconnect and rediscover your health and your life.
Exactly.
Yes. My word for the year is fearless.
That's a good one.
Because you can't live in fear. You can't allow external things to affect your motivation. And I did my New Year's thing yesterday. My New Year's thing is I basically veg out on the couch and get retrospective. I go through and I look at how far I've come, use gratitude in my manifestations for where I want to go. I look at what I still need to do, priorities or things I didn't get done last year, or finish up things I didn't get done last year. And then it's all about growth and how we can incorporate more of what we do, what we teach, into the community. And so that was my New Year's Day. Retrospective, taking stock, and I am looking at 2021 fearless.
Yep.
I won't let my own limitations, either mentally or physically, stop me from walking my path, basically.
That's it. Because we all have certain paths that we're called to walk. And there's going to always be external forces. We talked about this, I think, the other day. We talked about, you know, things should flow. When you know you're on the right path, it flows like a river. But there's always going to be rapids. There's always going to be those external forces, the bends in the mountain that are going to seem like they're slowing you down or making things challenging. But you know, building the resiliency and knowing how your direction and what feels comfortable to you compared to other things that you've tried and taken and done.
Learning how to bend so you don't break.
Yes.
Sometimes you need to back paddle a little bit just to catch your breath. But when you're on that lazy river, it seems like you can do anything. And those little rapids that you run into are just challenges to help you grow and learn. Have more faith in yourself and your abilities.
Yes. And we want to be rivers and not puddles, because puddles are stagnant.
Yes.
And there is no growth in a puddle. I mean, there may be temporarily when it storms, but
there is growth in a puddle. It's just not the kind of growth you want. Stagnation is nothing but fungus and nastiness.
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes grow
I always
puddles.
wondered what the purpose of mosquitoes was.
To feed frogs.
Yeah, but they don't need to feed on me before they feed the frogs.
Yeah, that's very true too.
And anyway.
That's not here nor there.
That's not
We
here.
digress. So anyways, so yeah, we hope that you can or decide to utilize Gaia or GaiaTV to help as an external resource outside of these podcasts and what we talk about in the shop, and to help you on your growth.
Resource.
It's for personal development, health development, all of the things that you want to do. Gaia is just a phenomenal thing to check out. So we invite you to look into Gaia and GaiaTV. So until next time, you can find us on Facebook at Crystal Lotus Shop, SHOO. I am done. At Crystal Lotus Shop, SHOPPE. And on Instagram at CLSWV, and on the website, clswv.com. Did I get it?
And we're located at 89 Old Main Plaza in St. Albans, West Virginia. Stop by and see us. We invite you to come in and enjoy our library.
Books back here in the bookshelf that you
Meditation
can read.
room. Lots of selection and products. That's a little low. I'm recuperating still from Christmas, but we're a little low on some stuff.
Well, by the time I get this, you've been through inventory and everything will be better.
It'll all be restocked again.
Inventory is always one of those times of year. So, anyways, but we do invite you to come in and chat with us, just like we chat with you here.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, take care. Healthy blessings. Happy 2021. But we're already a month in by the time you get this. So, we will talk to you soon.
You take care of yourselves.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Muses of the Crystal Lotus. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Just a reminder that this podcast is for educational purposes only. This podcast is not a substitute for professional care by a doctor or other qualified medical professionals. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others. Consult your physician for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the podcast. Under no circumstances shall the Crystal Lotus Shop, any guests or contributors to the podcast, be responsible for damages arising from use of this podcast. Until next time, healthy blessings.